My name is Shan-Lyn Ma, and I am the General Manager of Gilt Taste, which is a part of the Gilt Group. And today I wanted to share with you a bit about the history of Gilt and Gilt Taste, how we do content, how we're integrating that with commerce, e-commerce, in a way that I think is exciting, and give you some examples or case studies of tests that we've done in integrating content and commerce. But first, I wanted to thank you for inviting me here. I could not be more excited. I think that entrepreneurship and starting new things and building new internet products is the most exciting thing in the world, so very excited to share it with you. So for those of you who don't know Gilt Groupe, we were founded about 5 years ago in New York by Kevin Ryan, who is a famous New York entrepreneur, and he really saw or was inspired by Vente Privée in Europe and saw there was no similar company in the US, and so he started it, and he started it really with a focus on women's fashion, and it quickly grew to be offering men's fashion, women's clothing, accessories, home goods, furniture, kids' wears, Jet Setter, which is our service where you can book hotel rooms online all over the world, Gilt City, which is our site for local experiences like restaurants or tickets for concerts, and more recently, Park and Bond, which is a men's focus website. So Gilt Taste specifically is something that I pitched to our CEO, Kevin Ryan, to say, I think we should be in food and wine. One reason was because I love food and wine, but I saw that there was no clear winner in the food and wine space online in the US, and I thought that Gilt was well positioned to be that leader. So what Gilt Taste is we try to be a combination of a beautiful food and wine magazine coupled with an e-commerce marketplace where you can read about ingredients from the best producers around the world and then buy them there with one click and have it sent to your door or to your home or to your office to have it arrive there a few days later. So we carry items across many categories like meat, seafood, cheeses from around the world, and they start anywhere from $6 all the way to over $1,000 for some of our wines and caviar. Gilt Taste is a little different to the rest of Gilt Groupe, where Gilt Groupe initially started and was focused on flash sales and great sales in designer brands. We knew that with Gilt Taste, food and wine brands are not as well known as, say, Valentino. So we had to explain more why certain food producers or artisans are so important and why we carried them on our site. The way that we wanted to do this was through storytelling. So we brought on a famous food writer called Ruth Reichel. She was the editor-in-chief of Gourmet magazine in the US and has written many books around her life and food, and is currently producing a movie in Hollywood about her life. And she is really leading the editorial effort to create new stories about food people and their lives. We have recipes and we have video content that is basically something that people tend to gravitate to whenever they have downtime. So we find our content is extremely popular on the weekends, on holidays, and at night when people want to relax. And the reason that we thought it was so important to invest in this editorial content is because we know that if it seemed to be too sales-like, or it seemed to be not high quality, we knew that people would not read it, not come back, and then not respect the food offerings that we had on the site. So we wanted to make sure that it was really important the content was of as high quality as possible. And we're very proud that the content and the stories that we have been nominated for many awards in the United States. And thirdly, the last reason we thought it was so important to offer this kind of content on an e-commerce site was because it drives a significant number of new users and repeat users to our site every day. So we have a new story or recipe that publishes every day, and that in turn is shared by our users through Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and we offer basically every way possible a user can share that story, and that means that these services are the biggest drivers of traffic to our site. So we find that in the top 10 sources of traffic, they're coming from people who find Gilt Taste through Pinterest, Facebook, and Twitter. So I wanted to share with you some case studies or examples of ways that we've tried to integrate content and commerce in a way that is most exciting for our users and our customers. So the first example is Thomas Keller. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the chef Thomas Keller. He is one of the more famous chefs in the United States. He founded the French Laundry restaurant in California, as well as Per Se in New York, and probably has the most Michelin stars of any American chef. And he had launched or had started this new flour that you use for making breads or pastas that was gluten-free. And the reason he produced this new flour was because he found that some customers coming to his restaurants had allergies to gluten, and so he still wanted to make meals for them, but had to use a different kind of flour, which he created in his kitchens. So we wanted to offer this flour to our users, and we also wanted to tell the story of how this came about. And this was extremely successful in drawing new people to our site, because we told the story about Thomas Keller, not just about how he developed the flour, but how he came back from a period of time where he was a little depressed before he started the French Laundry. And so it was a combination of a great story written by a famous writer about a famous chef in conjunction with a flour unique to that chef that really drove a lot of excitement around the site, around our story, and around the product. And we ended up selling out of thousands of bags of flour within one day, so very successful. Another story or example I have is we worked with an actor in the US. His name is Adrian Grenier, and he was on the TV show Entourage, and he had paired with a winemaker to develop a wine that he is biodynamic and environmentally friendly. And so we again did an article about a dinner party that this actor hosted with all his friends in a cool restaurant in Brooklyn, New York. And they drank the wine, but the story was mostly about this dinner party discussion. And we sold that with the wine. And again, very successful in both engaging our users in wanting to read the story, learn about the actor, as well as try his wine. And then a third example that I have is during Bastille Week. What we've found at Gilt Taste is that holidays and events in the calendar are very important to us in curating either sales or stories. And so during Bastille Week, we thought that was a great time to pull together a collection of French products, as well as work with a famous French chef in New York. And we did a story around his favorite cookbooks, vintage cookbooks that you cannot find anywhere else. And we did a week-long series of what are the cookbooks that he holds closest to his heart, that he has learnt the most from, what is the story behind his large collection of copper pots in his restaurants? What are some of his favorite recipes? And we posted these new stories about this chef every day during Bastille Week, and then sold similar products like the cookbooks that he was talking about, or ingredients for his snails recipes. And that was received a large amount of press attention because it was something that you did not see on many other food sites, where you could read and then buy the products that were being referenced in those stories. And then more recently, we launched something last night in the US that I'm very excited about, which is another variation on commerce and content integrating. And that is, we partnered with a TV show on the Bravo network, and the name of the new TV show is called Around the World in 80 Plates. And this show takes contestants to a new city every week. So this week they were in London, and I believe in coming weeks they will be in Rome in Italy. And the contestants then have to gather ingredients from that city and cook something special from that country's cuisine. And Gilt Taste is the partner where you can find the ingredients that they use on the show. And so I think this is another example or another model that you can combine content, which is the TV show, and the competition around people traveling the world to find and cook new ingredients, with the marketplace that they can then have the viewers buy these ingredients from. And for example, during the Italy episodes, we will have Italian wine and food products for people to buy so they can cook the same thing that they saw on that TV show. So those are just a handful of examples of some of the experiments that we've done. And I'm excited because I think that commerce is a new way to monetize content. I think traditionally we've seen most companies and startups really only have advertising as the way that they can generate revenue from great content that they're producing. And I believe that commerce is an interesting and exciting new option because it gives the user a direct way to act on whatever content that they are reading that they might be interested in, and that better user experience fundamentally benefits everyone. Thank you.
Thanks.